I slammed the car door so hard the rain-slicked street echoed like a gunshot in the empty night. My fists clenched around the crumpled printout of that hotel receipt. Emily's lipstick on the edge, Chris's name scrawled in her hurried script, like it was the noose tightening around my throat. This ends tonight, I growled to the storm, storming up the steps of that godforsaken brownstone in Wicker Park, Chicago's hipster heart bleeding out into the gutters. The door flew open before my knuckles could graze the wood, and there he stood. Not Chris, the straight-arrow accountant who'd been screwing my wife behind my back, but Nicholas. Nicholas freaking Hale, with those storm-gray eyes that had once unraveled me in a dorm room 12 years ago, now widened in shock under the porch light. "Andrew," he breathed, like I'd risen from the dead, and in that split second, the world tilted, my rage dissolving into a chasm of buried secrets I'd sworn I'd never unearth again. I froze there on the stoop, rain dripping from my coat like tears I refused to shed, the printout fluttering from my numb fingers to the wet concrete. Nicholas, Nick, as I'd called him back when we were invincible college kids dodging finals and family expectations, stared at me like I'd punched through time itself. He was taller than I remembered, broader in the shoulders, his dark hair tousled as if he'd just run a hand through it in frustration, wearing a faded Blackhawks hoodie that hung loose over jeans faded at the knees. The scent of his cologne, something woody and warm, unchanged, hit me like a freight train, pulling me back to those stolen nights in my beat-up Chevy, parked on the shores of Lake Michigan, where we'd whispered promises we both knew were lies. "Andrew," he repeated, softer this time, stepping aside as if inviting a ghost in from the cold. "What the hell are you doing here? It's pouring." I should have turned and run, let the storm swallow me whole, but my feet betrayed me, carrying me over the threshold into the warmth of his apartment. The place screamed millennial Chicago, exposed brick walls lined with vinyl records and dog-eared paperbacks, a half-empty pizza box on the coffee table, and the faint hum of a radiator fighting the November chill. It was the kind of lived-in chaos that made you feel at home, even when you were a stranger invading it. "I'm looking for Chris," I said, my voice rougher than the gravel in my throat. "Emily's friend." The word tasted like bile. Emily and I had been married 7 years, high school sweethearts turned suburban survivors in our Lincoln Park row house. She was the girl who'd bake me apple pie on our first anniversary, who laughed at my dumb jokes during parent-teacher conferences. I taught history at a public high school on the South Side, molding young minds while ours quietly crumbled. But 3 months ago, the late nights at her marketing job turned into outright lies, and that receipt? It was the smoking gun. Nicholas's face darkened, a flicker of something, pity? Guilt? Crossing his features as he closed the door behind me. "Chris isn't here. He's out. With her, probably." He gestured vaguely toward the couch, where I collapsed like a felled tree, my coat pooling water on the floor. He disappeared into the kitchen, returning with a towel and a mug of black coffee that steamed like my unresolved fury. "Out with her," I echoed, the words hollow. "Yeah, that's why I'm here. To tell that son of a bitch to back off my wife." I snatched the mug but didn't drink, just held it like an anchor. Nicholas perched on the arm of the couch, close enough that I could see the faint scar above his left eyebrow. The one from that stupid bike crash sophomore year, when I'd carried him 3 blocks to the ER, our hands brushing in ways that lingered too long. He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck, a habit that used to mean he was nervous. "Andrew, listen. Chris is a good guy, but he's an idiot when it comes to boundaries. Emily." She reached out to him through work, and it snowballed. "But this isn't just about them. You showing up here. It's like fate's got a sick sense of humor." Fate. The word hung between us, heavy as the rain lashing the windows. I finally met his eyes, those eyes that had once made me question everything. My future with Emily, my place in a world that preached tolerance but whispered judgments. We'd met freshman year at DePaul, 2 Midwest boys adrift in the big city. Nicholas, the theater major with a laugh that lit up lecture halls, and me, the straight-laced history nerd burying his confusion under textbooks and beer pong. One kegger led to a kiss in the shadows of the quad, then more, nights tangled in sheets, hands exploring what we'd both been taught to fear. It was electric, forbidden, the kind of love that burned bright and fast. But by junior year, the weight of it crushed us. My parents' Bible Belt echoes from Indiana, his fractured family in Milwaukee, divorced folks who barely spoke. We cracked under the pressure. He transferred schools. I proposed to Emily on a whim, sealing my fate with a ring that felt like a shackle. I didn't know you were back in Chicago, I muttered, the coffee cooling in my grip. Last I heard, you were directing off-Broadway in New York. He shrugged, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. Burned out. Came home 6 months ago. Crashing with Chris, he's my cousin, actually. Needed a fresh start. A beat, then quieter. Heard you got married. Congrats. The sarcasm stung, or maybe it was the truth in it. Emily and I had sent out announcements, but Nicholas had vanished like smoke. No address, no trace. I told myself it was for the best, that straight was safer, simpler. But seeing him now, in this dimly lit living room with indie folk crooning from a Bluetooth speaker, it all unraveled. The betrayal with Chris wasn't just Emily's. It was a mirror to my own cowardice. Tell me where he is, I demanded, setting the mug down with a clunk. I need to end this. Nicholas leaned forward, elbows on knees, his voice dropping to that intimate timbre that used to make my pulse race. You don't want to do that, Andrew. Not like this. Chris is straight as an arrow. Emily's the one who pursued him. He's guilty. Yeah, but you're not going to fix your marriage by punching a guy who's as confused as you are. Confused. The word landed like a slap. I shot to my feet, towering over him, the room shrinking. What the hell do you know about my marriage? You bailed, Nick. You left me hanging when things got real. And now my life's in ruins because you settled? He stood 2 inches away, his breath warm against my rain-chilled skin. We were kids, Andrew. Scared shitless. But I never stopped. The door buzzed then, sharp and insistent, cutting him off. Nicholas glanced at the intercom, his jaw tightening. Speak of the devil. It was Chris, stumbling in with Emily on his arm, both flushed from the rain and whatever cheap wine they'd drowned their sins in. Emily's blonde hair clung to her face like a drowned halo, her coat half unbuttoned, revealing the red dress I'd bought her for our last anniversary. Chris, tall, blandly handsome in khakis and a button-down, the epitome of straight guy safe, froze when he saw me, Emily's laughter dying on her lips. Andrew, she gasped, wrenching free from Chris's grip. What are you? How did you? I advanced, fists balled, the air thick with the scent of wet wool and regret. How long, Em? How long have you been lying to me? Chris stepped forward, hands raised like a white flag. Look, man, it's not what you think. We were just talking, venting about work. Bullshit, I roared, shoving him back against the wall. The thud echoed, Nicholas lunging to pull me off, his hands firm on my shoulders, grounding me even as my world spun. Emily sobbed, collapsing onto the couch, her mascara streaking like black rivers down her cheeks. Nicholas's voice cut through the chaos, calm but edged with steel. Enough. Everyone out. Andrew, stay. We need to talk. This isn't over. Chris muttered apologies, dragging a weeping Emily toward the door, promising to call her later. She glanced back at me once, eyes pleading, but I couldn't meet them. Not yet. The door clicked shut, leaving the apartment silent save for the storm's relentless drum. Nicholas released me, but his touch lingered, a phantom weight. Sit, he said, not a request. I did, drained, the fight leaching out like blood from a wound. He sank beside me, close enough our knees brushed, and for the first time in years, I didn't pull away. You have no idea what this has done to me, I whispered, head in hands. Emily and I, we were supposed to be forever. The house, the 401k, the white picket fence bullshit everyone sells you. And now, it's all ash. He placed a hand on my back, tentative, then steady. I know, because I walked away from forever once. With you. The admission hung there, raw and unfiltered, pulling me under like the riptide of Lake Michigan. I looked up, our gazes locking, and in that moment, the boy I'd buried stirred, hungry for air. But secrets have teeth, and mine were just bared. Emily's affair was the spark, but Nicholas? He was the inferno waiting to consume us both. We talked until the rain eased to a drizzle, hours slipping by like sand. Nicholas poured whiskey from a bottle hidden in a cabinet. Good stuff. Maker's Mark, the kind we'd split in college after bad auditions or worse arguments. He confessed he'd followed my life from afar. The wedding photos on Facebook, the articles about my students' civil rights projects in the Tribune. You looked happy, he said, swirling his glass. I told myself that was enough. It wasn't. Not for me, anyway. Emily and I had started strong, passionate, even in that fumbling newlywed way. But after the miscarriage 2 years in, the light dimmed. We grieved separately, her retreating into work, me into lesson plans on abolitionists and civil rights marches, preaching freedom I couldn't claim. Sex became obligatory, conversations clipped. Chris entered the picture as her mentor at the agency, all bro handshakes and craft beer recommendations. I'd ignored the signs, the new lingerie, the sudden gym obsession, the way she'd flinch when I touched her. And you? I asked, the whiskey loosening my tongue. New York chew you up? Nicholas laughed, bittersweet. Directed a play about queer icons, Stonewall, Act Up. It was my act up, you know? But the reviews. They called it preachy. Investors pulled out. I came back here thinking Chicago owed me something. Turns out, it just owed me this. This. Us, side by side on a sagging couch, the city humming beyond the walls. His vulnerability cracked something in me, a dam I'd built with straight bricks and societal mortar. I wanted to lean in, bridge the gap, but fear clamped down. What if Emily fought for us? What if this was just nostalgia's cruel joke? By midnight, exhaustion won. Nicholas offered his bed. Couch is yours if you want space. But I followed him down the hall, the floorboards creaking like old bones. His room was a sanctuary. Posters of Marlon Brando and Ellen DeGeneres, a script dog-eared on the nightstand titled Echoes Unspoken. We undressed in silence, backs turned, slipping under the covers in boxers and tees, the space between us electric. Sleep evaded me, his breathing steady beside me. At 3 a.m., I whispered into the dark, "Why'd you really leave, Nick?" Was it me? He shifted, facing me, moonlight striping his face. It was us. The world wasn't ready, and neither was I. But seeing you tonight. God, Andrew, it's like no time passed. Our hands found each other under the sheets, fingers lacing tentative, then tight. No more, just that touch, a lifeline in the storm. But as dawn crept in, my phone buzzed. Emily, 10 missed calls, a text. We need to talk. I'm coming over. Please. Reality crashed back, sharp as shattered glass. Nicholas felt me tense, his grip loosening. Go, he said softly. But come back when you're ready. I dressed in the gray light, stealing one last look at him curled in the sheets, vulnerable and beautiful. Driving home through puddles that mirrored my fractured reflection, I gripped the wheel, torn between the life I'd built and the one I'd abandoned. Emily waited on the porch when I pulled up, eyes red-rimmed, a duffel at her feet. Andrew, I love you. It was a mistake. Let me fix this. Her words should have mended, but they echoed hollow. Because in that brownstone, I'd glimpsed the truth. My heart had never been straight, and Nicholas was the compass I'd lost. Emily's duffel slumped against the porch railing like a defeated soldier, rain from last night still beating on its nylon shell. She stood there in yoga pants and my old U of I hoodie, arms crossed tight over her chest, the picture of contrition if you ignored the faint hickey blooming on her collarbone. Chicago's morning fog clung to the elms lining our street, muting the world to grays and regrets. I killed the engine but didn't get out, just sat there idling like my thoughts, revving toward collision. She approached the window, tapping glass with manicured nails. Andrew, please, open up. Her voice cracked, the same one that had cooed lullabies to the baby we'd lost, the one that planned our dream kitchen remodel down to the subway tiles. I unlocked the door, and she slid in, the car suddenly too small for the bomb we'd detonated. I'm sorry, she blurted, tears spilling fresh. Chris was. He listened. When you were buried in your books, he was there. It wasn't love, I swear. Just escape. Escape. The word ricocheted, landing on memories of my own midnight drives to the lake, chasing ghosts named Nicholas. I stared at the dashboard, fingers drumming the wheel. Escape from what, Em? From us? Or from the fact that we've been playing house while I've been lost? She recoiled, wiping her face with the sleeve. Lost. You've been the rock, Andrew. The teacher's saving the world one kid at a time. If anyone's lost, it's me, chasing promotions to feel something. A pause, her hand reaching for mine. We can go to counseling. Renew our vows. Remember Ibiza? That beach at sunset. Ibiza. 5 years ago, pre-miscarriage bliss, salt air, and sangria, her laughter mingling with waves. It had been real then, or I'd convinced myself it was. But now, with Nicholas's touch still tingling on my skin, it felt like a costume I'd outgrown. I need time, I said, pulling away gently. Stay with your sister in Evanston. I'll call. She nodded, defeated, grabbing her bag and slipping out into the mist. I watched her walk away, shoulders hunched, until she vanished around the corner. Then I drove, not home, but back to Wicker Park, the brownstone pulling me like a magnet. Nicholas answered on the first knock, hair sleep mussed, a mug of coffee in hand. You came back. Yeah, I breathed, stepping inside. I don't know what I'm doing, but here I am. He set the mug down, drawing me into a hug that started awkward. Arms stiff, breath sinking uneven, but melted into something profound, his chin resting on my shoulder, my face buried in his neck. No words, just the steady thump of his heart against mine, a rhythm I'd forgotten but never unlearn it. We broke apart slowly, eyes searching, and he led me to the kitchen, where sunlight slanted through blinds onto a formica table scarred from countless meals. Over scrambled eggs and toast, his mom's recipe, he said, with a wistful smile. We unpacked the years. Nicholas had come out publicly after New York, a splashy profile in Windy City Times about queer theater's fight for funding. It cost me friends, he admitted, forking eggs absently. Family too. Dad called it a phase. Mom sent passive-aggressive Bible verses. But it freed me. Freed. The concept gnawed at me. I'd envied his courage back then, even as it terrified me. My own closet was a vault. Parents in Bloomington who volunteered at the church food pantry, siblings with their broods and barbecues. Coming out? It would shatter their world and mine. Emily knew fragments, late-night confessions after too much wine about college experiments, but she'd laughed it off, called it youthful curiosity. Now, it loomed like a specter. And you? Nicholas asked, voice gentle. Teaching, does it fulfill you? I shrugged, buttering toast. Some days. Last week, I had this kid, Jamal, write about Harvey Milk. Eyes lit up like he'd found religion. But at night, I stare at the ceiling, wondering if I'm lying to them. To myself. He reached across, thumb brushing my knuckles. You're not lying if you're growing. That's why you're here, right? The touch sparked, warm and insistent, but my phone buzzed. School, a sub needed for my afternoon class. Reality intruded again, yanking me back. I gotta go. But tonight? Dinner? My treat. His grin was pure sunshine. Valois? Cafeteria trays and all. Wouldn't have it any other way. Valois, Hyde Park's soul food legend. Obama's haunt, cornbread that stuck to your ribs. It felt like a date, or the ghost of one. And as I left, his kiss on my cheek lingered like promise. School was a blur. Lectures on the Stonewall riots, irony thick as the chalk dust. Students chattered about homecoming, oblivious to my turmoil. By 5 p.m., I was frayed, but Nicholas waited outside in his beat-up Subaru, waving like we'd planned this forever. Valois hummed with locals, nurses off shift, profs from UChicago, the air thick with fried chicken and collards. We loaded trays, joking about portions the size of hubcaps, settling into a booth scarred with initials. Conversation flowed easy, like Lake Michigan's breeze. He regaled me with New York flops, a musical about Lincoln's secret gay affair that closed in previews, and I shared classroom wins, like the mock debate on Don't Ask, Don't Tell that had half the class in tears. But undercurrents swirled, Emily's texts piling up. I'm sorry. Let's talk. My guilt a low hum. Then, midway through Peach Cobbler, Nicholas's fork paused. Andrew, about last night. That touch. It wasn't just comfort, was it? I swallowed, pulse hammering. No, it was everything I suppressed. The admission hung, vulnerable, and he covered my hand with his, right there in public. A black family at the next table glanced, then smiled. Chicago's patchwork heart, tolerant in fits and starts. We drove to the lake after, windows down, Adele crooning low. Navy Pier's lights twinkled distant, the water black and vast. We parked, walked the sand in silence, shoes off, cold grains shifting underfoot. He stopped, turning to me. I never stopped loving you. That's why I left, to let you have the life you deserved. Deserved? I laughed, bitter. This half-life. Emily's affair woke me up, Nick. Showed me I was sleepwalking. He stepped closer, hands framing my face, thumbs tracing jawlines. Our kiss was inevitable, soft at first, exploratory, then deepening with 12 years' hunger. Salt on lips from the air, his fingers in my hair, my arms around his waist pulling him flush. It was romance reborn, not lust. A reclaiming, souls sinking under indifferent stars. But as we broke apart, breathless, headlights swept the lot. A cop car, routine patrol. We sprang apart, hearts pounding not from passion but paranoia, the old fears resurfacing. We can't hide forever, Nicholas murmured, but doubt crept in. What about Emily? My job, tenure whispers in a conservative district? And Chris, looming like unfinished business. Back at his place, we curled on the couch, a rom-com flickering ignored. When Harry met Sally, ironic as hell. His head on my shoulder, my arm around him. It felt right. But sleep brought dreams. Emily's face morphing into my mother's, disapproval etched deep, and Nicholas vanishing into fog. Morning brought confrontation. Emily showed at the brownstone. How she'd gotten the address, God knows. Banging on the door at 8 a.m., voice shrill. Andrew, open up. I know you're in there with him. Nicholas and I exchanged panicked glances, him in boxers, me in yesterday's shirt. I cracked the door, blocking her view. Not now. Her eyes blazed, hurt twisting to fury. With him? The college fling? Oh God, this is why. Chris said Nicholas was influential. Is that what this is? Midlife crisis gag. The slur landed like a gut punch, ugly and American. Whispers of phase from talk radio, headlines on bathroom bills. It's not a phase, I snapped. And Chris doesn't know shit. She laughed, manic. I gave you everything. And you throw it away for this? Gesturing wildly at Nicholas, who appeared behind me, calm facade cracking. Emily, please, he said softly. This isn't about hurting you. It's about truth. Truth. She recoiled, then lunged, slapping me hard across the cheek. The sting bloomed, shock more than pain. You're pathetic, she hissed, storming to her car, tires squealing away. Nicholas iced my face, his touch tender. She'll cool off. But Andrew, we need to talk about us. Really talk. The day unraveled from there. I called off work, feigning flu, and we holed up, dissecting wounds. Nicholas revealed his own secret. He'd written letters after leaving, mailed to my old dorm, begging forgiveness for abandoning us. I'd never gotten them. Emily, jealous even then, had intercepted and burned them, a betrayal she'd hidden until now, confessed in a voiceless voicemail that afternoon. I found the letters. From him. I was scared you'd leave me, so I made sure you wouldn't. The revelation gutted me. Layers of deceit, my marriage built on ash. Fury boiled, but Nicholas held me through it, his presence a balm. She was protecting her heart, he said. We all were. By evening, resolve hardened. I filed for separation that week, papers drawn by a lawyer friend from the union, clean, no-fault Illinois style. Emily fought dirty, though. Texts to my parents, he's leaving me for a man, whispers to colleagues, unstable, distracted. The backlash hit like winter wind. Mom's voicemails laced with scripture, Dad's silence deafening. A school board email questioning my influence on students. Nicholas became my anchor. Nights spent walking the 606 trail, debating futures. Come out fully, he urged, or you'll always be half here. But fear not. A student protest I'd led against conversion therapy 2 years back had painted a target. And Chris? He cornered me at a coffee shop, face bruised from some bar fight. Emily's a mess, man. But Nick, he's poison, always chasing what he can't have. The accusation stung, echoes of our past. When Nicholas's wandering, I had sparked our first fight. Misunderstanding festered. Had he really left for me? Or from boredom? Doubt seeded, sprouting in quiet moments. Then, the bomb. A week later, Nicholas vanished. No calls, texts unread. Panic clawed. I stormed his apartment, finding it half-packed, a note on the table. Found a gig in L.A. Can't drag you through this storm. Forgive me. N. Betrayal, sharp as Emily's slap. He'd bailed again, leaving me exposed, raw in the wreckage. Rage propelled me to O'Hare, ticket in hand. Impulse buy, credit card screaming. But as the plane lifted, tears came, hot and unbidden. Chicago shrank below, a grid of lights mocking my fractured heart. Los Angeles hit like a fever dream. Palm trees clawing at smog-choked skies, the sprawl of freeways pulsing with ambition and despair. I landed at LAX with nothing but a carry-on and Nicholas's last known address, scraped from a mutual friend's inadvertent Facebook post. A rehearsal space in Silver Lake, some indie theater collective called Echo Stage. The cab ride up Sunset Boulevard blurred past billboards for queer rom-coms and conversion camp exposés, Hollywood's glossy take on my nightmare. Jet-lagged and jet-fueled by betrayal, I clutched the crumpled note like a talisman, its words blurring with unshed tears. "Why, Nick?" I'd whispered to the empty brownstone before bolting, the echo mocking me. His disappearance wasn't just abandonment. It was surgical, timed after my separation filing hit the rumor mill. Emily's venom had spread, anonymous tips to the school board, my principal pulling me aside for a chat about personal conduct. I'd laughed it off, but inside, terror gnawed. Tenure denied. Kids I'd championed turning wary. Nicholas knew this. We'd mapped it out over takeout falafel, vowing to face it together. So why run? The theater squatted in a converted warehouse, graffiti-tagged walls vibrating with bass from inside. I pushed through the door into chaos. Actors in half-costumes blocking a scene, director barking cues in a Brooklyn drawl. Nicholas was there, center stage, script in hand, his voice booming lines about forbidden love in 1950s San Francisco, irony thick as the stage fog. He spotted me mid-monologue, faltering, the line dying on his lips. "Andrew." The director called cut, crew murmuring as Nicholas vaulted down, pulling me into a side hallway reeking of paint and perspiration. "What the fuck, Nick?" I hissed, shoving the note at his chest. Sweat beaded his forehead, his teeth clinging from the light's heat. Up close, exhaustion etched his face, dark circles, unshaven jaw, like he'd aged a decade in days. He deflated, leaning against cinder block. "You weren't supposed to find me. Go home, Andrew. This was a mistake." "Mistake?" My voice rose, echoing off props stacked like tombstones. "Coming out? Us? Or you ghosting me when shit hits the fan?" He winced, running hands through sweat-damp hair. "It's not that. Sit, please." He led me to a folding chair in the green room, cluttered with headshots and half-eaten burritos. Water bottle pressed into my hand. He paced, words tumbling. "After Emily's call." "Yeah, she left me a voicemail too. I got spooked. Dug into your school's policies. They're teetering on that morals clause bullshit, post-Florida vibes creeping west. One wrong headline, and you're done." I blinked, processing. Emily's reach extended further than I'd feared. Her agency's connections, perhaps, or pure spite. "So you decide for me? Pack up and flee to Tinseltown without a word? That's not protection, Nick. That's cowardice." His eyes flashed, hurt sharpening to anger. "Cowardice? I left New York for you once, remember? Swore I'd never drag you down again. But here you are, chasing me across states. What about your life? The kids who need you preaching authenticity." Authenticity. The word mocked, a mirror to my hypocrisy. I'd assigned essays on Baldwin's Giovanni's Room, dissecting self-betrayal, while I tiptoed around my truth. "My life was a lie until you." I admitted, voice cracking. "Emily's letters, burning yours? It explains everything. I thought you didn't care." He stopped pacing, kneeling before me, hands on my knees. "I cared too much. That's why LA. A fresh script, no baggage. But seeing you, God, I can't." The green room door banged open then, an actor poking head in, lithe, tattooed, all earnest energy. "Nick? 5 minutes." His gaze flicked to me, curious, then away. "Cool if I?" Nicholas waved him off, but the interruption lingered, a reminder. His world here was new, unscarred by our history. Jealousy flickered, irrational, but sharp. Who else had he let close? The seed Chris planted bloomed. Nicholas, the charmer, always 1 foot out. We talked haltingly through rehearsal break, him chain-smoking out back, me nursing lukewarm coffee. He confessed the gig was probationary, directing a workshop on queer history, funded by a progressive grant, but fragile amid culture war crossfire. One parent complaint, and poof, he said, exhaling smoke like surrender. Like your school. Vulnerability bonded us anew, tentative bridges over chasms. By nightfall, he took me to his sublet, a studio above a taqueria, walls papered in rejection letters turned art. We cooked tacos on a hot plate, laughing over spilled cilantro, the domesticity a bomb. But intimacy stalled at the edge, a hug on the couch, heads together, but no kiss. Unspoken, the fear, mine of losing everything, his of breaking me. Morning brought escalation. My phone exploded, voicemails from mom. The church prays for you, son. This devil's work. A text from principal, meeting Monday. Board concerns. Emily's final missile. A leaked email chain to the PTO, painting me as indoctrinator, twisting my milk lessons into propaganda. Rage surged. I called her, voicemail seething. You win. But this? It's on you. Nicholas overheard, face paling. We fight this. Together. But doubt festered. That afternoon, rifling his mail while he ran errands, I found it. A letter from Chris, postmarked Chicago. "'Cause, Emily's spiraling, threatening lawyers, bad-mouthing you both. But truth? She knew about Andrew's thing with you from college. Used me to flush it out. Watch your back." The revelation hit, like vertigo. Emily hadn't just cheated. She'd orchestrated, a calculated unmasking born of her own buried knowledge. The miscarriage grief? We'd blamed it on stress, but whispers now. Her suspicions, my distance, a marriage mined from inception. Betrayal compounded, a Russian doll of deceit. I confronted Nicholas when he returned, letter thrust forward. She knew. All along. And you, did Chris tell you? He scanned it, color draining. Last week. That's why I left. To shield you from the fallout. Emily's not just hurt. She's weaponized. Weaponized. American as apple pie, divorce courts, social media mobs, the weaponization of privacy in a post-Roe, post-Obergefell world. Fury boiled toward Emily, but twisted toward Nicholas. You should have trusted me to decide. The argument erupted, voices rising over the sizzle of rush hour traffic below. I did trust you, he shouted. But I'm not your savior, Andrew. You have to claim this, for you, not me. Claim it. The words echoed as I stormed out, wandering Silver Lake's hipster haunts, coffee shops with rainbow flags, murals of Marsha P. Johnson staring accusatory. By dusk, clarity pierced. He was right. Hiding fixed nothing. It just prolonged the bleed. I returned at midnight, key under mat as instructed. Nicholas waited, script abandoned, eyes red. I'm sorry, we said in unison, collapsing into laughter, then tears, then a kiss. Fierce, reclaiming, lips bruised with apology. We spent the night mapping battles. I'd return to Chicago, face the board with union backing, turn scandal to statement. A public essay for the Sun-Times, perhaps. A teacher's coming out. Lessons from the closet. Nicholas would finish the workshop, then join, our lives no longer parallel but intertwined. But secrets breed shadows. 2 days in, during a hike in Griffith Park, dusty trails, coyote howls at dawn, Nicholas's phone buzzed. Unknown number. Voicemail played on speaker. Chris, slurred and desperate. Nick, man. Emily's gone off the rails. Showed up at my place with pills, talking suicide. Blaming you too. Cops came. 5,150 hold. But she named names. Yours. Andrew's. Said you groomed him in college. Groomed. The accusation, vile and viral ready, ignited panic. Nicholas paled, phone slipping. This is it. The controversy she wanted. We raced back, him booking a red-eye, me following suit. On the flight, turbulence mirroring my gut, I pinned the essay in Notes app. Raw, unfiltered. My love for Emily. The miscarriage's scar, the affair's wake-up, Nicholas's light. Betrayal taught me grace, I wrote. Hiding taught me shame. No more. Chicago greeted with bite. O'Hare's chill, seeping bone-deep. Nicholas's Subaru waited, borrowed from Chris, who met us at the hospital, face haggard. She's stable, he said, avoiding my eyes. Meds, therapy. But the cops. They want statements. Emily lay in a psych ward bed, four-dripped and hollow-eyed. monitors beeping soft. She stirred as we entered, Nicholas hanging back, me approaching solo. Andrew, she whispered, voice frail. I didn't mean. The pills. It was to make you see. See what? I sat, taking her hand, cold as regret. That you're broken. We both are. But him, glancing at Nicholas. He'll ruin you. Ruin. Or redeem. The room spun with unspoken. Her manipulations, the letters, the affair as catalyst. You burn bridges for us, M. What? Tears tracked. Fear. Of losing the dream. But I lost you anyway. A sob. Forgive me. The question hung, humanistic crux, grace amid wreckage. I squeezed her hand. We're both free now. Heal. For you. Outside, Nicholas waited, arms open. We embraced in sterile hall, hospital hum fading. But climax loomed. The press, leaked by a nurse. Headlines blared next morning. Local teacher's gay affair sparks school probe. Wife's suicide attempt adds fuel. Twitter, X now, erupted. Teacher outed trending. Allies rallying with love is love. Bigots spewing fire. The board meeting was theater. Suits droning policy. Parents clutching petitions. I stood, essay printed and distributed, voice steady. I'm gay. Always was. My marriage ended in honesty, not scandal. Teach me? No. I teach truth. Gasps, applause, split room, American divide. Nicholas testified via Zoom, voice cracking on our history. Verdict. Probation, sensitivity training, but job intact. Victory, Pyrrhic but pure. Emily recovered, checking into rehab, boundaries set, divorce amicable, assets split fair. My parents? A tentative call from mom. We love you. Praying for understanding. Progress, inching. Winter settled on Chicago like a heavy quilt, snow blanketing the Loop's steel canyons, holiday lights twinkling defiant against the cold. 3 months post-meeting, the probe's dust settled. My classroom buzzed anew, students dubbing me Mr. Out and Proud. Essays pouring in on personal reckonings. Nicholas's workshop wrapped triumphantly. Reviews in the Reader calling it a beacon for buried voices. And he relocated, our brownstone now ours, lease co-signed with cautious hope. Life wove intimate patterns, mornings tangled in sheets, his head on my chest, coffee brewing to jazz on the radio. Evenings on the roof deck, skyline sprawling, sharing dreams. Him eyeing Steppenwolf, me plotting a queer history elective. Betrayal scarred but didn't define. Therapy unpacked them. Emily and I exchanging occasional texts. Her sober milestones, my pride flags in the yard. Yet undercurrents stirred. Chris, adrift post-scandal, crashed sporadically. Beer-soaked confessions of his own doubts. Always wondered, cuz. Watching you too. Envy maybe. Nicholas extended grace. Family ties mending slow. My folks visited once. Easter dinner tense but thawing. Dad's handshake firm. Mom's hug lingering. Whispers of PFLAG meetings slipped in napkins. The deepest scar? That persistent doubt, a whisper from Chris's seed. Was Nicholas's love steadfast, or a pattern of flight? It surfaced in quiet fights. Him late from cast parties, me scrolling old photos of Emily's happier days, guilt's ghost. You're here now, I'd say, but insecurity gnawed. Climax brewed unexpectedly, spring thaw melting resolve. April, Pride planning season, Nicholas pitched a gala, fundraiser for Southside Youth Centers, my brainchild. Rehearsals consumed him, our rhythm fracturing. One night, post-argument over forgotten dinner, I found his phone buzzing. Unknown, a text preview. Missed you last night. Drink soon? Jay? Jay, the actor from LA, tattooed and earnest. Jealousy flared, old wounds reopening. I pocketed the phone, heart hammering, and when he returned, disheveled, cologne faint but foreign, I confronted. Who's Jay? I demanded, screen thrust forward. He blinked, exhaustion yielding to shock. Jordan? From the cast. We grabbed notes after rehearsal. Andrew, it's nothing. Nothing? Like your note to LA? Or bailing sophomore year? The words unleashed, dam breaking. Every fear, every abandonment cataloged. I left everything for this. Job threats, family fallout. And you're, what? Charming the next muse. He recoiled, hurt flashing to fury. You think I'm cheating? After all this? Voice rising, he grabbed his keys. I need air. He stormed out, doors slamming like finality. I collapsed on the couch, sobs racking. Phoenix from ashes, only to burn again. Hours ticked, panic mounting. Texts unanswered, calls to voicemail. By 2 a.m., dread peaked. I drove the 606, looping trails lit by sodium glow, searching shadows. Dawn found me at the lake, sand cold under jeans, waves lapping like accusations. Footsteps crunched. Nicholas, coat flapping, face streaked. Found you, he panted, collapsing beside me. Where else? We sat in silence, gulls wheeling overhead, the sun cresting gold. I'm sorry, he started. Jordan's just a friend, divorced dad, venting about custody. But I get it. My history's shit for trust. I nodded, throat tight. Mine too. Emily's lies. They made me see monsters everywhere. He turned, eyes fierce. I'm not a monster. I'm flawed. Scared kid grown into scared man. But you? You're my why? The one who makes staying worth it. The confession disarmed, vulnerability mirroring mine. I leaned in, forehead to his. Prove it. No more running. I won't. His hand cupped my neck, pulling me into a kiss, slow, sealing, the lake's breath on our skin. Salt and sunrise, renewal's taste. From there, growth rooted deep. The gala soared, sold-out house, my speech on hidden histories earning standing ovation, Nicholas's direction lauded. Emily attended, distant but supportive, toasting from afar, to truths, however late. Chris came out quietly that summer, a barbecue confession over brats and beans. Thanks for the shove, guys. My parents evolved. Dad joined a book club on Fun Home. Mom knitted rainbow scarves for the center. Society's churn continued. News cycles shifting to new fights. But our corner held, humanistic in its mess. Forgiveness imperfect, love hard-won. 1 year on, rooftop under stars, Chicago's summer haze veiling constellations. We stood close, his arm around my waist, city lights our aurora. What now? I murmured, head on his shoulder. Now. He kissed my temple. We live, unapologetically. And we did, through tempests and calms, conflicts forged into strength. Betrayal's sting faded to lesson, misunderstandings to wisdom. In America's vast, fractured heart, we'd carved a space. Two men, scarred but whole, loving fierce against the odds. Not perfect, but profoundly ours. The end. No tidy bow. Life's a draft, revisions ongoing. But with Nicholas, his laugh and morning light, his hand in mine through storms, I'd choose rewrite every time. Because what started in rage, in confrontation's fire, bloomed into grace. A love that changed everything and set us free.